A very good morning, students. I hope you are good and safe. Today we are going to speak about Indian economy before and after independence. So before independence and after independence. Okay. So before going to the concept, just we have to see the learning objectives of this lesson. To understand the experience of India during the British rule, and second objectives of this lesson is to appreciate the efforts taken by the government of India after the independence. Okay, so before independence, who has controlled the economy, and afterwards how there is an development in the economy. Okay, let us see the first one, Indian economy during the British period. So Indians sea route trade to Europe started only after the arrival of the Vasco da Gama in Calicut. So India on May 20, 1498. So the first trade which has been done from Indian sea route to Europe. Then later, Portuguese which has been started to do their trade with Goa in earlier 1510. And then later in 1601, East Indian Company which started to do their trade with India. So slowly they started to do their trade and started to exploit India. So see the first person, Sir Thomas Roe was successfully in getting an permission from Jahangir to start an factory, and slowly it has been moved all part of the India. So like this East Indian Company who started to exploit India and Indian resources. They knew that India has well rich in the natural resources. Then this Britain has entirely exploited India over the 2 centuries, and they divided the periods into 3 periods. The first period is the period of merchant capital, second period is a period of industrial capital, and third period is a period of finance capital. So see the first thing, the period of merchant capital. So merchant capital means that is they are doing a small trade. So first this period of merchant capital which starts from 1757 to 1813. Then the main aim of the East Indian Company that they want to earn more profit and they want to do the monopoly trade in India. The second thing, they feel that India has a best hunting place because India is well rich in the natural resources. And third aim is that they knew that there is a political shake between the Bengal and South India. So they utilize this time period, that is from 1750s to 1760. So they had a full monopoly power. And next one, this company administration, they generated a huge surplus of profit. So they have enjoyed in India. Then all the officers in India was fully uncircumcised and corrupted. That is the Indian Company which was fully uncircumcised and corrupted by the England. Next we come to know about the period of industrial capital. So this period of industries, that is India's which is fully filled with the industries, that is fully East Indian companies were fully exploited with the industries. So the period of industrial capital was from 1813 to 1858. During this period, so India has become the market for British textile. So here in India, fully British textiles which has been used in India. Then they use the Indian raw materials and they exported to the England at a low price, and they imported the costliest textile to India with a high cost. This has been exploited. So Indians were exploited in India. Then in traditional handicraft were fully exploited. That is, traditional handicraft was thrown out of the gate. Next we come to know about the period of finance capital. So this East Indian Company, they need so much of money for the development of the economy. So this finance capital which has been started in the 19th century. So continuing till the independence, during the period, finance imperialism began to enrich itself and managing the agency firms, export firms, exchange bank, and some export of capital. So everything which has been started till independence. and then they started to collect and taxes for the development of rail, road, postal system, irrigation, European banking system, and limited field of education in India. Because next we come to know about the process of industrial transition and colonial capitalism. So industrial transition and colonial capitalism means that during in India, this British people has taken an industrial transition, that is they have developed certain industries in India. So this industrial transition, which has been classified into two, one is industrial growth in 19th century and second one is an industrial progress during the 20th century. So during the 19th century, what are the things which has been developed by the British people? So the main thing that they have developed in the 19th century is that jute mills, then cotton mills, and number of plantation industries which has been started. That is nearly 36 jute mills which has been introduced, then 194 cotton mills which has been increased, and then some number of plantation industries which has been started, and then coal risen to over 6 million tons per annum which has been increased. But why they have taken this step in India, that is why they want to develop this industries in India, because the only motive, that is the preliminary interest, is that making an profit. In order to get profit, so that they have taken to develop the industries. Next, industrial progress during the 20th century. So during the 20th century, Swadeshi movement which has been stimulated in the country. In India, stimulation, that is Swadeshi movement which has been started over. So all the existing industries and new industries which has been maintained slow and steady. But after that, what happens, they makes a steady growth in the industries. So nearly 70 cotton mills which has been increased, and then extra 30 jute mills which has been set up, and the coal which has been coal production which has been doubled. And then they have made in strong foundations on iron and steel industries which has been laid, and then railway networks which has been extended. Everything, it is their main purpose that they want to increase their profit, so that they have developed certain things. Then during the period 1924 to 39, various major industries which has been introduced, like iron and steel, cotton textiles, jute, matches, sugar, paper, and pulp industries which has been developed. Next, we come to know about the problem of the British rule. So during the British period, India faced so many problems. So they fully exploited our country. So the first problems of the British rule is that the British rule stunted the growth of an Indian enterprises. That is the domestic enterprises which has been affected because of this British rules. Second one, the economic policies of the British checked and retarded the capital formation in India. That is, they have done so much of investment, that is, it has been taken from India. Okay, so this is the second problems which has been created by the British. Third one, the drain of wealth financed capital development in Britain. So they have taken all the resources, that is, they have extracted all the resources from India and they have developed their country. So that is the drain of wealth financed capital development in Britain. Second one, the fourth one, it is that Indian agriculture which has been fully exploited. That is, they have not given more importance for the development of the agriculture. So in India, mostly large section of the people are depend on agriculture. So this British period, during the British period, they have not given more importance for the development of the agriculture. Then next one, they fully exploited the handcraft industries. That is, they have created everything as a mission made product. So this handcraft product which has been fully exploited by the British. The next problem of the British rule is that some effort has been taken for the development like a plantation, mine, jute, mills, banking, shipping, so many things which has been created in India. But why they have created? So what is the main motive? Why they want to create all those things? Because their main motive is for the development of profit. For that purpose only, they have created a certain industries in India. So these are the problems of the British rule. So first one, that is that is Indian enterprises which was fully affected by the British. Second one, the economic policies, that is they use Indian capital formation. Third one, they fully drained the wealth of the finance capital and development in Britain. That is, they extracted all the resources and financial and wealth from India and they developed their countries. Then, Indian agriculture was fully exploited. That is, they have not given more importance for the development of the agriculture. And next problem is that Indian handicraft which has been exploited. So all the mission made products which has been introduced in India, and they started to collect more tariff on the handicraft industries. Next is some developments which has been made by the British, but why they have developed, what is the reason? Because the reason is that they want to increase their profit, so that they have started certain they have developed certain industries like plantation, mine, jute mills, banking and shipping, etc. Okay, so next we come to know about the industrial policy of India. So industrial policy of India means during 1948, 1956, 1977, 1980, 1990 and 1991. So during this period, they have taken in steps for the development of the industries. That is, if you want to develop an industry, that it should be legally registered by the government. So during 1948, certain developments in industries which has been taken by the government, that is taken by the economy. So industrial policy resolution 1948, that is they want to develop the industries in India. So the first development is that industries were classified into 4 groups. One is and public sector, public cum private sector, and then controlled by private sector, and private and cooperative sector. So this is the first step in 1948 they have taken. So here public and private, both the things should be coexist together. So here first certain things which comes to only public sector, that is and strategic industries. Then public cum private industries means that is key industries, basic industries which has been mixed together, private as well as public. Then certain industries alone which has been comes to the private sector, and last one it's in private and cooperative means so private also can invest as well as the cooperative, that is nearly 10 to 20 members combined together and they can form an industry. This is all for the development of the industries in 1948 they have taken. The next policy is that to protect the cottage and small scale industries. So during 1948, the next resolution that they want to develop the cottage and small scale industries. The next development, that is next resolution in 1948 is that they want to create monopoly in the railroad and exclusive rights to development of minerals and iron ore. That is central as well as state government had a monopoly power in production in railway routes and then minerals, iron ore, etc. So this is the next resolution taken in the 1948. And then last fourth resolution is that the government encouraged the significance of foreign capital for the industrialization. That is, they need an foreign capital for the development of industrialization, but everything should comes under the control of the government. Okay, so these are the 4 resolution which has been taken in 1948. Then in 1956, again in 1956, certain resolutions has been taken. That is, industries plays a dominant role in the economy. So in industrial policy of 1956, that is dominant role should be taken by the public sector. That is the major share should be taken by the public sector and the remaining shares should be taken by the private sector. So this is the first step, that is first resolutions which has been taken in 1956. And the second one, that is the government should support the cottage as well as small scale industries and to restrict the volume of large scale industries, because large scale industries which dominate the economy, so it will be affect the cottage as well as small scale industries. So government should support the cottage as well as small scale industries. And the third resolution under 1956 is that industrial policy emphasis reducing the regional disparities. Regional disparities means in each and every region, in each places, there should be an industries should be needed. So this is the third resolution in 1956. And the last one is that the government recognized the need for foreign capital for progressive industrialization of a foreign concern. So for the development of the economy, the government need an foreign concern also. So for that purpose, they need an foreign investment. So this has been taken in 1956. Okay, next we move to the Green Revolution. So next we come to know about an Green Revolution. Green Revolution means what? Green Revolution refers to an technological breakthrough in the agriculture practice. That is using a new agriculture strategy in the agriculture. That is, they are following a new technology, that is traditional objectives, traditional agriculture farmings as went down, and modern technology which has been used. That modern technology which is called as an high yielding variety programs. This high yielding variety programs means that is they have taken and steps in the seeds to give and more production in rice and wheat. So this which has been taken, and this project which has been taken in the 7 district. Okay, so now let us see the achievements of Green Revolution. Mostly what happens during the British during 1960s, 19 before 1960 to 61, what happens, Indian started to import of so much of food items from the US. See, this US used to export wheat to India. So Indian people started to wait for their food items. So this Indians were exploited for the ships to ship their foods. So on the other hand, India lost lot of minerals, but this US strategically exploited the Indian minerals by manufacturing missiles and weapons at the cheaper cost, and this has been exported to the US, and the US earned more GDP from through India. So this has been taken, but now what happens, India started to do more surplus, that is started to produce more food and increases more food grains and started to export it to other European countries. So this is the first achievements which has been done after 1960 to 61. The second achievement is that producing an high yielding variety seeds. High yielding variety seeds means that it does not require more water, manure, fertilizer, etc. So, but it gives a more level of production. So, this has been mainly used in rice, wheat, maize and jowar. Then third strategy is that was mainly directed to increase the productions on commercial crops as well as and cash crops. So commercial crops like rice, wheat, maize, jowar, etc. So cash crops like jute, cotton, sugar, these are all called as in cash crops. So see here such as sugarcane, cotton, jute, oil seeds and potatoes. So this is a high yielding variety seeds which has been used in commercial crops as well as in the cash crops. Then the next achievement of the Green Revolution is that per hectare productivity of all crops had increased due to better seeds. So the seeds which does not require more manure, fertilizers and water. So the productivity which has been increased due to the better seeds. This is the one of the achievement of the Green Revolution. The next achievement of the Green Revolution is an positive effort on the development of the industries. When there is and more production, okay, so automatically other industries also which has been started to develop, like manufactured agriculture tools like tractors, engines, threshers and pumping sets which has been developed is due to only the Green Revolution. Then Green Revolution has brought an prosperity to the rural people. That is, it generates more employment opportunities. Once the seeds gives and more production, more productivities means automatically in an economy, it provides more employment opportunity to the rural people. So, the standard of living which has been slowly started to increase in the economy. The next achievement of the green revolution is that multiple croppings and more use of chemical fertilizers, the demand for the labor which has been increased. That is, they don't know about the multiple croppings and other systems. So due to this green revolution, that is, and new technologies which has been used. So multiple cropping and other chemical fertilizers which has been used in the green revolution, and the demand for labor also which has been started to increased. Next, the next achievement of the green revolution is that financial resources were provided by the bank. So when there is more achievement through the green revolution, so banks started to provide and credit facilities to the rural people. So these are the achievements of the green revolution. Next, we come to know about the weakness of the green revolution. So what is the main thing? Agriculture, still it is an gamble of monsoon. All the time that agriculture is depend on the climatical condition. So climate plays a major role. So whenever we need water, that is, there should be an water. If there is a scarcity of water, or enough temperature is not there, means definitely it affects the agriculture. So Indian agriculture was still a gamble of monsoon. Then next weakness, that is next drawback of the green revolution, is that it needs an heavy investment. In order to purchase these high yielding variety seeds, the cost of the seeds and the other materials which is too costly. So it cannot be afforded by the farmers. So this strategy needed heavy investments in seeds, fertilizer, pesticides and water. So everything which needs, that is, the cost is too high. Then what happens? The income gap between the large, marginal and small farmers had increased. That is, it brings an gap between the marginal farmers and small farmers and large farmers. That is, what happens? The investors, that is large farmers, that they can invest, they can purchase the seeds, fertilizers and pesticides easily. But what happens to the small and the marginal farmers? So it brings a wider gap between the large, marginal and small farmers. Then the next weakness is that certain areas only which has been benefited through green revolution, that is Punjab and Haryana only use this farm mechanism. So they can in this areas alone, this green revolutions which has been successfully achieved, but the remaining places still they are suffering from this green revolution. That is, they can't able to afford, that is, the seeds cost and other investment they can't able to afford. And the last weakness is that large chemical uses and inorganic. So before this green revolution, that farmers used and only an organic materials which has been used, but after this green revolutions, heavy chemicals which has been introduced in order to get more production. So due to this, what happens? The fertility of the soils which has been started to reduced, and it creates an human, that is, it affects the human health also. So this also one of the main causes of green revolution. So still, so see here, agriculture, that is weakness of green revolution is that agriculture is still a gamble of the monsoon. Still agriculture is depend on the monsoon. The second one, weakness of green revolution is that it needed an heavy investment for purchasing high yielding variety seeds, fertilizer, manure, etc. It needs an high investment. Then it brings a gap between the large, small and marginal farmers. Then certain areas alone which has been benefited through green revolution, and the remaining areas which has been affected. And the next last thing is that by using a green revolution, that is chemical fertilizers which has been introduced. So chemical fertilizers which has been introduced, and it affects the soil and its fertility, and even and human health also which has been affected due to this green revolution. The next come to the second green revolution. So second green revolution means that is nearly due to the green revolution nearly 400 million tons of food grains production which has been increased. That is there is an higher growth in the agriculture production. So 214 million tons which has been increased in the food grains. So this all the achievement of the second green revolution. So maximum the growth rate from the agriculture is that they have expected 5 to 6 percentage should be increased during after, that is over the next 15 years they have fixed the target. So for that introduction in the second green revolution, they have taken certain revolution, that is genetical modified seeds which has been introduced because to increase the average production should be increased. So for that genetical modified seeds which has been introduced, and then during the second green revolution contribution they expected, that is the government expected from the private sector also. So contribution should be increased from the private sector. So this is the second achievement, that is thing want to develop in the second green revolution. Then government plays a key role in expediting irrigation schemes and managing water resources, because water is the most important for the agriculture. So government plays an important role in the water management. Then linking of rivers to transfer and surplus water to deficit areas. So this is also the most important things which has been taken in the second green revolution. Just a recap. So see here, Indian economy before and after independence. So before independence and after independence, what is the development of the Indian economy? So before independence, that is first Vasco da Gama who entered the India, that is the trade which has been done through sea route. Then later Portuguese which has been entered, and then East Indian Company also entered and started to exploit India. So many factories and industries which has been introduced with the permission of Jahangir, and then later so British started to exploited India and Indian resources. Okay, then they have segregated into three periods. One is a period of merchant capital, period of industrial capital, and then period of finance capital. So during the period of merchant capital, that is this year, that is 1757 to 1815, that is merchant small trading activities which has been taken, and they started to exploit India, and corruptions which has been made in India. So all the companies which has been Indian companies which has been usurclubs and which has been corrupted. The second one is the period of industrial capital. They started to develop an industries in India. So from 1813 to 1858, so industries which has been increased, and they started to do their trade activities. Then period of finance capital, so they started to develop the certain industries, and then railways, postal telegrams, everything which has been increased in India. Why? Because for the main motive is that profit motive. Then we saw about the decline of an Indian handicraft. So Indian handicraft which was been fully exploited by the British, and then they started to use and man-made mission items which has been introduced, and in Indian handicraft a heavy tariff which has been imposed, and it has been exploited by the British people. Then we saw about the land tenure system in India. So land tenure means that is the the system of land is owned and managed by certain group of people. So who owns the land, who cultivates the land, and who is responsible for paying the land revenue to the government. So these are the features of the land tenure system in India. Then three systems which has been followed in India. One is zamindari system, mahalwari system, and royatwari system. Zamindari system means that is the land which is owned and controlled by the zamindar, and the share which has been given to the British is that 10 is to 10 divided by 11, that is 10 by 11. So 10% which has been given to the British, and 1% is taken by the zamindar as an remuneration. Then mahalwari system. So mahalwari system means that is they serve the unit of management, that is they combine all the land and do their farmings. So this was followed in the Madhya Pradesh and then later followed in all over the country. And then we comes to know about an Roytwari system. So Roytwari system, which has been first started in Tamil Nadu, that is the tiller who used to control the land. So owner will be separate and the tiller who used to take and lease from the owner, and they will continue the process farming technologies which has been used. Next, we come to know about the process of industrial transition and colonial capitalism. So, during the British period, in 19th century and 20th century, they have developed certain industries in India. So, like cotton, jute mills, and then plantations and coal, which has been introduced. Why they have introduced all these things, these industries in India? Because profit is their main motive. And then industrial progress during 20th century, there is much more development in the industries. So the development of cotton, jute, plantations, then coal and iron and steel, and then railways, which has been introduced in India in the 20th century. Next, we come to know about the problems. So problems of the British period. So during the British period, Indian enterprises which has been fully exploited, and they use the mineral resources and natural resources which has been fully exploited, and then they have exploited an Indian handicraft. They have not given more importance for the development of the agriculture. They have developed certain industries, but their main motive is profit motive. So these are the problems of the British rule. Then we come to know about an industrial policy in 1991. So first industrial policy resolution in 1948. So major thing, that is they want to develop the Indian industries. So they have started a four category: public sector, then public come private sector, then private sector, then private and cooperative sector, which has been introduced. And then they started to give more importance for the cottage and small scale industries, and then they started to develop the minerals and iron ore industries. Then in 1948, the main thing is that foreign capital which is needed. So these are the four resolutions which has been taken in 1948. Then in 1956, what happens? Public sector plays a dominant role in the development of the industries. So they needs that is government support should be needed for the cottage and small scale industries, and should restrict and large scale industries. Then their main aim is that each region should need an industries. So government concentrate on the regional disparities. And then last industrial resolution is that government recognize the needed for the foreign capital for the progressive and industrial of foreign concern. Then we come to know about an green revolution, a new technologies which has new agriculture strategy which has been followed in 1916. That is the development of the agriculture. So instead of using a traditional method, they have followed a modern technology which has been used. That is high yielding variety programs which has been used. That is high yielding variety seeds, pesticides, fertilizer, manures which has been used for the development of agriculture in order to increase more production. So achievement of this green revolution is that before 1916, Indian people started to depend more on food items. They depend more on US wheat. Afterwards, what happens is US are fully exploited and use the Indian resources at a cheaper cost, and they provided the food items for they supplied and food items for the Indian. But after 1960s, there is more development in the food grains, and then it creates a more surplus, and now India started to export more commodities, more food items to the European countries. Then high yielding variety programs, that is high yielding variety seeds which has been introduced mainly in rice, wheat, maize and jawar. The next green revolution achievement is that is achievement which has been made on commercial and cash crops. Then the next achievement is that per hectare productivity should be increased. So this is the main things which has been introduced. Then due to this green revolution, certain development has been introduced, like tractor, engines, then threshers and pumping which has been introduced. Then due to this agriculture, employment opportunities also which has been started to increase. Due to this agriculture, certain chemical fertilizers and other things which has been increased. Then because of this green revolution, financial activities also which has been started to increase. But certain drawbacks of green revolution is that Indian agriculture still depends on the climatical conditions. So it is still a gamble of monsoon. Then heavy investment while using a green revolution, it is an heavy investment which is needed. Then it create a gap between the large, small and marginal farmers, because small and marginal farmers cannot afford to invest in the green revolution. Next one, certain group of areas only which has been benefited through green revolution. And then green revolution, by using this green revolution, heavy chemicals and fertilizers which has been used, and then it exploit the fertility of the soil, as well as it spoiled the human health. So these are the problems of the green revolution. In the second green revolution, they have taken a major thing is that genetically modified seeds which has been introduced. And then next contribution is that they expected from the private sector. And then government plays a key role for expanding irrigation. And then next step which has been taken, the second green revolution, is that linking the rivers, canals, etc. So these are the things which has been taken in the second green revolution. Okay, so up to this I will stop. The remaining will be continued in the next class. Thank you, students.